Hi, today's lab is all about looking at creating 3D text and 3D imaging using After Effects. Hopefully by this end of the session you'll be able to achieve something like this. If I open my text file, if you can all please put your glasses on. Hopefully by now you'll get some anaglyphic glasses from myself. If you just put your glasses on, just have a look at this image here. So this is what we're going to be achieving by today. So you'll see the text is really popping out nicely. You got your no parking, and you got different depth happening within the city itself. Okay, so please follow the tutorial step by step, and if you miss out, of course, you can go back and have a look at it. But the main thing is, if you can go back on your file, so if I just kind of minimize this, make sure that you have downloaded the Anaglyphic stereo setup After Effects from your Moodle area, and you'll find the asset file and all your resource file as well on Moodle area, and then double click on your 3D text imaging. So just double click on it. Okay, so it's a very simple document here. It's a lot of different layers. If I can kind of just take you through this. So you got your parking PSD file, then you've got your city 1 and 2, and then another city part there, and then you've got your background, which is like kind of a matte at the background, like a grayish matte. Now just bear in mind that this was just a normal simple picture, but it was cropped all in Photoshop. So technically the whole point is just to create some depth in this whole exercise and creating the anaglyphic kind of stereoscopic effects on this image as well. So first thing what we need to do is make sure that this whole all these layers are basically 3D in 3D. So basically this little box there represents the 3D layer. Okay, if you do not have this 3D adjustments and effects panel here, you need to go right at the bottom here. It says expand your switcher panel. Just simply click on here and it expands your switch. So just make sure that you see your switch there, and then switch on all your 3D boxes like that. Okay, so simply switch on it. One good thing about After Effects is if you just simply highlight the whole layer, just simply click on one, it will just assume that it needs to be clicked on every single layer as well. You can obviously go individually as well to different layers, and as you can see, as I'm clicking on the individual layer, you can see that it's nicely masked out as well. So this is my layer 3, my layer 2, my parking lot, and the background. Okay, now first thing what you need to do is, if you can, make sure that you kind of get used to the mouse. So with your space bar, if you keep pressing your space bar, you see this hand there. If you see your canvas moved up here or down here, you can always go back on your space bar and do a right click on your mouse and simply bring it somewhere in the middle there. Now between your mouse there's a little roller. Just simply roll it in and out, so you can see that you can zoom in and out as well. So just kind of experiment with that as well, because we're going to be using that quite a lot. So if I just kind of zoom out a bit, you can see that that's my first background. See that's my background, and then my city and my city 2, and then I've got my parking there. So the whole point of this exercise is just creating some depth to this. Now the way we're going to create depth to it, if I just kind of highlight the whole kind of layers, just press P on your keyboard, it will give you this position, and you can see that the position is all set. We know the positions are there, but there's no depth to any of these layers. So let's give this depth. So let's say if I want to give this to 1000, here's my depth there, let's give this, let's say 800. Okay, it's going smaller. So if I just kind of zoom in now, watch what happens here. So basically, as soon as I did 800, the depth has moved in. See that the more I go back, the more the depth is more, the more the image is going smaller. But we can obviously increase the image. So if you just go on 800 here, and then I can increase the image size to make it look good. So if I just kind of increase that, and what the whole point is, we can just kind of line up with this water line there. So just make sure that you line up your kind of city somewhere there. So that's my lined up there. Okay, and then let's go on this city and let's make it 500. Okay, again we can just simply click here and it can just simply line up. Just expand that, and then you can just simply line that up as well. There you go. So you should have something like this, and what we need to do is leave the parking as no depth. We don't need any depth here. Okay, so 0 depth, 500 to the second layer, 300 to the third layer, and about 1000 to the background. Okay, so this is where we are at. Okay, and now if you can go back on our top view, have a look at this. So if I just select all of them, look where all our pointers are, our X and Y's are. So you can see that very clearly that I've moved things around and I've left the main 0 parallax. So this will be my main 0 parallax, and the rest will be all probably this part here would be my main kind of 3D, a bit of parallax here minus to that as well. So this really represents that how you are going to blend your 2D image into stereoscopic and your text as well. I'm going to show you in a minute how we can create text as well on top of this image. So let's go back on your active camera, sorry, and then let's zoom in. Let's go back to 100%. Simply click here. Let's go back on 100% so at least we can see the whole screen. Alright, so now what we have done till now is simply we've kind of created some depth, but at the moment we can't really see any depth because it's just still a flat image. But what we are telling the After Effects that we have created some kind of depth. If I kind of go back to just show you, if I just highlight all of my layers, you can see that I've got my background, then my foreground, then my foreground, and then I've got my no parking there. So now what I'm going to do is simply just highlight them, just close them, something like that, and then go back to my active camera and 100%. Now let's create a left and right rig. So basically now this part here is where I'm going to show you how we create a 3D rig. So firstly, if you can create a comp, so if you just create a new composition, so just go to composition, new composition, and just want to double check the width and the height. So if you want to see that, just simply click on your previous comp, and your previous comp will say it's 720 by 480, which is fine. So let's go to composition, new, 720 by 480, that's fine, and I'm going to call this as left comp. Okay, and enter, and then I'm going to create another comp as right comp and enter. Okay, so what we have here, we've got two comps, and this is our main city space, right? And then we got two comps with nothing on. So what I'm going to do is simply drag the cityscape into left comp and drag cityscape again into the right comp. So technically what we have now, if you just look right at the bottom here, we've got if you've got this render queue, just take that off, don't worry about that. So you've got your cityscape, your left comp, and your right comp. Okay, now once you've got these two comps together, you'll see that nothing is happening. See, as soon as I click on the right, there's nothing there. As soon as I click on the left, nothing happens. Now on each of the left and right eyes. So if I just go on the left comp, I'm going to turn on the 3D, and I'm going to turn on this collapse information. So if I just click on this little star button there, basically it's the collapse transformation. So what it does, it just takes all what we have done with the depth on our main cityscape. That's what it's going to copy to our left comp, and then when you go on the right as well, just simply click on the 3D and collapse transformation on here as well. So technically, if you can see the difference now, that what I've done is simply copied what information I had here for our 3D space, which I can go on the top view again just to quickly show you. Okay, so all this information is now collapsed to our left and right information. Okay, let me go back to the active camera there. Okay, so now once we have done that, right, so looking at the left and right comp here now, what we need to do is do some scaling on this, because if you go on your original cityscape one, if I just kind of zoom into this, let me just go to 100%. Okay, there's no gaps, there's no kind of gaps here, but if you can see on your left comp, there's a kind of gray gap comes in here. If you go on the right, there's kind of grayish gap there. So what we do is go on the left comp and press scale, which is S, and then the scale icon comes up, and then what we do is simply just because it's chained already, so it won't lose the proportions. So if I was here, I'll just put 110. Okay, maybe more. 115. There we go. So I'm done with that, and then I'll do the same for the right as well. So if we just go 115. Okay, so now once we have done the scaling of the actual canvas, what we need to do is now see from two different eyes. So to create a camera rig, so to create a stereoscopic kind of illusion, what we need to do have two cameras. So one camera will be on the left and one camera is going to be on the right. So those are going to mimic our kind of eyes from left and right and right to left. So let's create the left camera first. So let's go on the left comp, let's go to layer, new camera, and I'll just leave the proportions of film size and stuff at the moment. Just leave everything what's there, and just simply name it as left cam. That's one, and then I'm going to go on the right one as well, do the same, go to layers, cam, right cam, and enter. Okay, so I've got my left and right camera there now. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to position them in a way that it will kind of slightly shift to left, and then I'm going to go to right and slightly shift to right. So just go on the left camera and press P as position, and I'm going to just simply double click on the first position here. I'm going to just do that as 350. If you just follow this, and I'll tell you why we want to do 350. Okay, and then on the right I'll do again P as position and 370. Okay, so you're going to leave two parts there. We're going to just kind of click on each of them, and you can see that this is where our eyes are going to be looking at. So that's our left eye and our right eye. Okay, so once that position is done, so we got position as 50, and for the right eye we got 370, left eye we got 350. Do not move the panning or the depth at the moment. Okay, now once we've got that, what we need to do is create a new composition where I'm going to drag the left comp and the right comp in that. So I'm going to just go to composition, new composition, and what I'm going to do is simply type in probably I'll type in master 3D MASTR 3D comp. That's going to be my final comp. Okay, and what I'm going to do is simply drag the left in here, and I'm going to drag the right in this comp as well. So you can see that I've got the cityscape, left comp, right comp, and my master comp now. So now what we're going to do is simply bring in the 3D effects. So I'm going to go type in 3D glasses, and as soon as I press G, the glass comes there, and that's the effects we're looking at. Simply make sure that you on effects and preset. If you don't have this on your window, just go to Windows, and effects and presets are here. It's Apple 5. Drag your 3D glasses effects in your canvas, and you'll see this two different cameras related. So these are two different kind of crystal box relates to a camera. And then let's look at the effects control comp. So now we are on effects control. Don't go on the project, just simply go on effects control, and you got your left view, which is going to be your right comp. Okay, sorry, your left comp, and your right comp has to be your right. Okay, so just make sure you get that right. Okay, so I've got my left as left, right as right. Okay, once that's done, what you need to be doing is, at the moment we can't really test everything out because we haven't got a passive glasses, or we can't see side by side, but we have got anaglyphic glasses. So this is where you need your glasses. So if you just kind of go and stereo pair and go to balance color red and blue, okay, and what you'll see in that, now here I'm going to go back on here. What you can see, you got your red and your blue color popping out, but you see on the parking it's still zero parallax. We wanted the parking to look more kind of 3D than all of them, but we need a zero parallax in your footage. So if you go back on your cityscape, and that was the main reason why we did not, if you just go on P here, we did not had any depth here on the actual parking, but we had depth on the actual city 1 and 2, 2, and then we had a depth here as well in the background. So if you just kind of look here on your master and start looking at your clip, you can see that we've got a really good depth. If you put your glasses on, you can see very, very clearly how we can move things around. So now I can kind of work on the conversion. I can kind of converge it more a little bit, kind of just a slightly touch. Okay, you don't want to really make it too much. Okay, and what you can even do, instead of touching the conversion, just make that 0. Okay, just go back to your left comp and try going 345, and then going here and going 375. Okay, and now go back to the master comp, and you can start seeing more depth. So you can kind of 5 now, and I can go on the master comp and see that. So you can remember that this is my zero parallax. Okay, if you take your glasses off, you can see there's no shaders to this only, because we don't have any depth on this, but we have depth on the rest of the actual image, and that's the illusion we want to bring in if you want to create a new effects there. Now simply, once we've kind of got the image right, what we can always go back on our cityscape, and let's create a text. Let's go back and let's simply type in here, hello and welcome, come to MMU. Okay, and go back on your selection tool, just start kind of bring this kind of tool there. Okay, remember that I've not done any depth to that as well, but just make sure that you just go on your 3D, just make sure you press on P, and we're going to just give a depth. Instead of going back, I'm going to just bring this text a bit forward, so minus this time, so I can go minus, let's say minus AE. Okay, and I can just simply bring this somewhere there, and let's go back to our master comp. Let's see what happens here. So let's see what our text is saying there. There we go. So I can see some text happening. So this is where you can start looking at your 3D text. If I just kind of now give a bit more conversion to that, See that as soon as I start giving that conversion, there you go. Give more kind of sharpen out, balance out the depth. There we go. So I'm balancing out to 10. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done there. So you can see the actual illusion of the text as well. So technically, if I go back here on my main comp, if I just select all of them, just bring it down, you can see I've got the text there, and I can start creating different text as well. If you want more text, what I can do, I'm just simply just copying the text there, just bringing this text somewhere here, and I'll just simply change the text to say, for the sake of it, I can just kind of say, just put my name down there, and I can give that illusion. Just go to just go to P on this text, and then I can now bring this somewhere there. Okay, and then I can go back on the master, and there we go. So you can tell that I've got different text now happening, and I can just kind of barely bring in my text. I can actually bring Nabil Messi a bit more forward actually. If I just kind of make this 0, I can actually bring this forward, so I can just kind of bring this a little bit there, so you can see what kind of effects could have. There you go. So okay, just kind of go back a bit more, and you can tell I can just even come out from the shot and do that bigger kind of, see there. So, and that's where it gives me a headache. That's where you can start thinking about where you're going to just draw the line. Of course, it's crossed the line, it's cut off. Just make sure that you kind of go back somewhere here would do for me. There you go. So I'm kind of happy with this. I can go all this back as well. And I was pretty much happy just going right back there. I can actually bring this somewhere there. There we go. Okay. Hopefully you've enjoyed this session. This was all about really creating. If you are working with a still image, this is a really true example of how you can really create a really good depth on your zero parallax, and then the rest of the has got kind of convergence to it. And you can see the text is now, it feels like floating text. So you can imagine that you've kind of animated this text on After Effects, and if you are planning to create an animation, there's quite really good effects on there. So for example, if I just go on MMU, I can simply click on where the presets are, effects and presets. Just simply click around the top left, just go to browser presets. Okay, if you want to create some animation to the text, they're pre-built animated text files there. So if I just kind of use the text there, double click on here, and then let's say fill in smoke. So let's grab a decent text style. So that's expressions. You don't need to do expression blur. Yeah, that's good. Let's work out. So if I just for the sake of it, let's try this. So that's kind of okay. So if we play this back on our 3D comp, let's play this. Okay, still rendering. Let's see how long will that take. There you go. Okay, so you can tell that it's just kind of, if you just play this back from here, just sort of gives you that illusion of fading in, like a feather effect there. So really, truly, you got kind of a kind of expression happening there. But the main thing is, if you do want to create some text, you need to simply go on this little icon here near the effects and preset, click on browser preset, and from there you can just simply make sure that you have selected the text which you want to animate. So there's a lot of animation there, so just kind of experiment with it. Okay, let me just undo my experiment, and yep, so hopefully you've got something today. Thank you.